So we're talking really now about how we work. We've established that just working for your own gain, working so that you don't have to work anymore, that's meaningless. What is meaningful is finding pleasure in your work, serving others with your work, and really having an eternal mindedness about your work. Trying to work in such a way to store up treasures in heaven, not just treasures on earth, because we know that the treasures here on earth are going to burn up in the day of judgment, and the work that we do will be tested. So let's talk a little bit about diligence, about slothfulness, industriousness versus idleness. The Bible has a lot to say about that, especially in Proverbs. I'll read a few passages from there. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. This is one of many sort of paradoxes in the Bible. It is as if to gain riches, you have to not love riches. And it is that way with so many other things. The sluggard says, this one cracks me up because it makes me think of COVID so much. Everyone went home to flatten the curve and then realized they didn't want to come back. And why didn't they want to come back? The sluggard says, there is a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets. It's this idea that you're using this imagined fear as an excuse to not go and work. I'll read one more. Through sloth, this is in Ecclesiastes, the roof sinks in, and through indolence, the house leaks. I like how that one is a reference to the homestead. It would be easy for someone to think that we're just referring to work done in the marketplace. Everything that we're saying here also applies to work done in the home.
Well, I believe that diligence is a characteristic that we're taught. And I think part of what we're seeing in our culture and world today is that we don't teach diligence to our children. And, this is a real big thing for me is I believe that kids should be engaged in work just when they're big enough to walk and big enough to pick up their toys, they're big enough to engage in work. And we have an opportunity to train them that they are a valuable member of our family and therefore, by extension, a valuable member of society by being able to help out with the tasks that are at hand. If you just watch kids, they want to help. They'll try to help get the stuff off the table. They'll try to help wash the dishes. They'll try to help you vacuum the floor because they see mama vacuuming the floor, daddy vacuuming the floor. What we need to do is join them to what we're doing and give them tasks and teach them, hey, you do have a purpose. You do have value. And when you work to accomplish things, it makes you feel good. That, hey, I've done something. We're doing our kids a disservice by just giving them everything that they want without them having to work for it. And so when they then get into the age where they have to work or need to work, they don't have any experience doing it. And so that's where it begins. I think once you get that from an early age, slothfulness just becomes something that grates on you. I mean, I cannot stand to go by a yard or a home that's just in disrepair. And, it's one thing if people can't afford to keep things up nice, but it doesn't cost anything to pick the garbage up out of the yard. You can go out there and do that. And so those things, I think the people that live in those situations would just don't even realize how much better they would feel about themselves if they would do those kind of things rather than being slothful. So we're just doing people a disservice from a purpose and mental health standpoint if we do not train in and expect diligence from all people.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your reference to having kids to help out. Why don't people do that? Doesn't it seem so obvious that it would be better to have 5 people working in your house than just one?
Mm-hmm.
Because when kids, well, I mean, you know this as an employer, when someone starts to do something, they don't really know what they're doing. They require a lot of guidance. And I think it is that initial discipline on the part of the parent to slow themselves down long enough to help the child learn to do the thing well that is so often neglected. But as with all discipline, as we know the Bible says, it's unpleasant for a time. However, if you do train your kids to help out around the house, not only are you benefiting them, ultimately you're benefiting yourself because they will take so much weight off of you. Mm-hmm. So that's a note on parenting.
Yeah, I mean, we just came out of the series on family, but this is an important piece, is training your kids to work and be a productive member of the family. Before they're going to be a productive member of the workforce, they're going to be a productive member of the family. And if they're not a productive member of the family, they're probably not going to be a productive member of the workforce. You're just setting themselves. I mean, we talked about training up CEOs when we were talking about family. It's this diligence to work and this self-satisfaction of purpose when kids realize, hey, I can do something that has value and that benefits my family and it benefits the other people around me. You said it. It is so simple. It seems so obvious to me, but for whatever reason, we don't do it. We hold our own kids back.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Dostoevsky that said, it takes something more than intelligence to live intelligently. That we do have to discipline ourselves. We have to get over the resistance that we feel inside. Plenty of people know what they should do and don't do it just because of that inner resistance. And if it's the case that you're a person who is naturally very low in conscientiousness, it feels like pushing a rock up a hill to do anything. I mean, I tend more towards that way. The thing to do is just find something, no matter how seemingly insignificant it is, that you would do and do that. You know, if you can't climb a mountain today, then maybe you can take 10 steps up it. 10 steps is infinitely more than 0 steps. So work at it. You know, don't give up. Build. I don't like it when people say, well, this is just the way that I am. People can change. It takes great effort, but you can develop diligence in yourself. Does it come more easily to some people than others? Yes, everything is like that, but it can be increased.
Well, the other thing I would say is most people think, motivation comes ahead of doing something. I'm of the school of thought that doing something creates motivation. You have to, by force of will sometimes, say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up and do this. And then once you get up and do it and you see the result, that motivates you to keep doing it. And so there's a self-will piece that I believe is the initiation of doing something positive. And so it's not do you have motivation or not, it's do you have the self-will. And what I would say is it's a biblical thing. What we're talking about is living out the word. So not being diligent, being a sluggard is against what the Bible teaches us to do. Mm-hmm. And so, we need to keep that in mind. This is not just me and Andrew giving our opinions because we're strong work ethic people. It's the biblical model that we're trying to live out here.